Okay, you do not need to know all 40 rudiments as a drummer. You do not need to be good at every style, and you don't need to practice everything in order to become a great drummer. Actually, practicing everything all at once is the quickest way to stall as a drummer, and today we're going to find out how your improvement comes from not coverage, but actually depth in what you're covering. So let's get straight into it. Okay then, before we move on to the kit, let's talk a little bit about our core problem, which is sort of over coverage of everything. So for example, you know a bit of jazz, you know some chops, you know a bit of rock, you know about molar, you don't know anything to a certain or specific depth. Okay, let's take for example a drummer that one week they're taking their jazz drumming, next week they're taking that sort of fast Travis Barker sort of pop punk, they're aware of what their molar is, they've worked on their doubles, they've worked on their singles, but nothing actually concrete that actually sticks in their drumming and comes out naturally because they haven't hit it with enough depth is my key point here. And the thing is, it's definitely not a lack of focus, but you can be focusing too much on a lot of things. If you just take all of that really strong focus in your practice and focus it on one thing, you're going to get a much higher ROI, sort of return of interest on your playing, rather than spreading your very, very good focus out onto 10 different things. Okay, as we mentioned ROI there, let's keep the money sort of analogy going. Let's talk about the rudiments and how you can own them versus paying towards sort of all the different ones. So for example, there are a lot of rudiments. There are 40 different rudiments on the PAS sort of curriculum. You could go through, make sure you can play all of them at least once. But I think a better example, instead of sort of paying towards all these different rudiments and not actually owning any of them, so when you go to your thing, you find, oh, I've paid for all of them, but oh, I haven't completely owned them. You can own 10 rudiments. Like you say, the most essential 10 rudiments, become really, really, really good at them. Then when you're on the kit, instead of realizing, oh, I've played all these things once, but I'm not actually sure what to play here, you think, I've got a set of 10 here that I really, really, really know, and I can use this one because it's the correct example for this situation. So this analogy of owning rudiments, I think, is really, really important, instead of, just paying with your time to practicing all the 40 ones a little bit, own 10, and you can use 10. Okay, if you have enjoyed the video up to this point, make sure to drop a like and a sub, and thanks very much for watching up until now. Enjoy. Okay, a nice example of something I owned through sort of practicing jazz is a sort of double stroke roll. So a lot of my favourite jazz drummers would do these super, super fast sort of rolls around the kit. I know now that they were using singles, I didn't know that back in the day. But I then spent a really long time, because of that involvement in jazz and wanting to sound like them, learning double stroke rolls to do things like this. And that's because, I was really invested in that. And so those sort of double stroke rolls, now that I own it, because I was able to do that difficult stuff, I could then use in sort of rocks. My favourite example is in the song All the Small Things by Blink-182. There's like a nice build-up thing which you can play as a 6-stroke roll, like. Of course, my kit isn't set up for rock, but that's a nice example of how focusing in on a nice genre can get you and make you learn things that then transfer to other genres, for example, jazz to rock. Right, so I actually thought this would be a good time to sort of talk about how I sort of unknowingly used this principle quite well when I started my drumming. So originally when I started, obviously the first year and a half, I'm a big advocate of having a lot of fun in your drumming. It's more important to play what you want to play instead of playing all the technical stuff straight away, because then you actually start to enjoy drumming and you want to practice the hard stuff. When I did then get to start practicing the more hard stuff, I started to focus firstly on jazz, and I think jazz is actually a really good example of somewhere that you can really, really focus in, and that all of the examples there allow you to branch out to other bits of drumming. For example, jazz forces really, really harsh control in everything, because obviously it's quite a quiet genre, so you get to hear every single thing. You can't cover it up with speed or anything, so it allows you to sort of gain that really nice control, for example on your ride cymbal. Or like a sort of bell accent pattern. With that sort of thing, and then you learn all these little techniques that then you can apply to different bits of drumming. So I really think that's a really, really good example for you to sort of live. I'm not telling you to go out there and start with jazz. You can start with any sort of genre, rock, gospel, Latin, anything like that. And really the skills you learn there can then be transferred to other bits of drumming once you've really got a good grasp on them and sort of own them like we talked about earlier. Okay, coming off the kit, let's talk about sort of being an everyman when you practice and why trying to be good at everything too early makes you not very good at anything. So, for example, you could go and feel very productive. It does feel very productive when you rapidly switch from genre to genre to genre, learning the basics. But really, you're not actually latching on to any of those key skills when you're just learning it for a brief period of time. And you find out that you end up with no clear identity in each of these styles, which is quite an important thing, to find your sort of way of playing the styles. And you find that you lack the fundamentals in those things. So that when you go and do another 3 genres and then come back to that one, you've actually found that you've kind of forgotten almost anything. You might retain, I don't know, 10, 20% of what you've played. But really, you forget the fundamentals and then you have to relearn it instead of spending a lot of time on it, and then you get to keep it forever. Okay, let's give you some actionable points then. So I want you to work in sort of month, 2 month, 3 month blocks, depending on your attention span. Ideally, 3 months is the best, but if you really can't be bothered, a month will probably do. I want you to pick one style, one sound, and one key skill set. For example, a jazz example would be, I want to work on jazz for the next 3 months. I really want to sound fluent and fluid on the kit and really sound like I've got my dynamics in check, and I really want to get good at my molar. And I definitely want to reassure you that just because you pick this thing for 3 months, it's not locking you in forever. You're going to be playing music ideally for the rest of your life. You've got so much time to explore different genres that, for example, taking this genre now then just gives you more skill sets to go and work on other genres in the future. For example, I learnt jazz, like I said before, and then all these skill sets allowed me to go and learn a different style, like, I don't know, Latin or something like that. So yeah, it gives you the freedom to go and branch out later. Right, so the question you should be asking yourself now is, what is the one thing I'm going to be focusing on? So yeah, if you have enjoyed the video, thanks very much for watching. Do drop a like, sub, comment, check out my gear in the description, check out another video, and yeah, have a good rest of your day. Cheers.